Alright. That should have fixed her. Emphasis on should. Yeah, the signal looks strong. Okay. Sorry about that, folks. It was on OBS's front because I kept checking. I did an internet test before I tried the second attempt initially, and it said it was fine. My upload speed was great, so I jumped right into the stream thinking I'd be fine, but no, I was barely running anything. Turns out, I don't know, so OBS was doing something weird. It could barely transmit anything. I just had to switch profiles on my OBS, but I think we're good. Yeah. Should be anyway. Okay, let me know on your guys' front if everything looks clear. Yeah. Hold a sample mini here. That way, you know, you guys can take a look. Storms again. Yeah, should we live? Yeah. Yeah, it was, well, the thing is, the second time around, it wasn't the storm. The second time around, it was, OBS. OBS just wasn't transmitting anything. The storm is past. That's why I felt fine streaming. I was like, okay, storm's gone. I don't have to worry about it. It's just cutting out again. But it still did, but this time it was because OBS, I don't know, was fried on that particular profile I was using. I don't know. It was weird. But I just switched to profile, which has the exact same settings and is connected to the same account, and it's working fine. So I don't know. Maybe the storm did something to OBS itself, which is kind of weird to think about. I don't know. Maybe I have a virus situation. Which I'm referencing the movie, by the way. But anyway, let me share the link now that I know this is working. But how you doing, Matthew? Pretty good. I'm pretty good. Little tired now, but determined to finish these little Hormagaunts tonight. I feel committed to the process. That, and I really felt cheated out of like the last stream. The last stream was really good. We were having some solid conversations too, so kind of peeved me a little bit that went a little south. But yeah, I'm just sharing the links around real quick to my different servers I'm on. For some reason, it's not displaying the thumbnail in any of them. Is his thumbnail not there for some reason? Oh, it says my thumbnail's good. I don't know, the whole thing's kind of fucky. Anyway, back on track with batch painting the Hormagaunts. It's Hormagaunts, Hormagaunts are the ones with the guns. There we are. Yeah! Yeah, it was OBS. It wasn't my internet. Which I knew. I did internet speed test before I made the second attempt with the stream. Which, second attempt being the first of this, you know what I mean. I did an internet speed test and my upload speed was great. So I was like, oh, okay. So the storm's completely passed, we're good. But for some reason it was barely transmitting more like 1,000 kilobytes per second, which is terrible. Normally it does about 6.5 thousand. Sorry, not 6.5. 6,500 or more. So it was barely doing that. And it was OBS. I had to switch profiles for it to get it to work. So it was fat in me. Alright, so we've done all of the red. I can either do the basing next, or the base of the basing. Or I can move on to the... I guess I could finish like doing the actual miniature block out colors. So next would be Corvus Black. So let us do exactly that. You always thought Hormagaunts were nifty? And I like them. It really does, like, you know, I think if you're a Tyranid player, like, inherently, you gotta like Termagants and Hormagaunts, because the whole theme with Tyranids is, you know, you're playing a swarm, an insect swarm. I can't imagine being very satisfied playing Tyranids, you know. I guess some people have, like, play Tyranids kind of like Kaiju, you know, especially if you're a tournament goer and you want to win. You gotta play Crusher Stampede, that's the name of the build list. You know, it's just all it's just all major monsters and shit. The smallest thing you take in Crusher Stampede is typically warriors. Like I said, that's the smallest you go. Usually it's Carnifexes, Broodlords, etc. Or Raptor kind of thing. I mean, yeah, I guess. We're going that specific. No, I never really looked at them like raptors, though. Always kind of seen these little guys as, like xenomorphs. Well, I've always actually kind of seen them like Zerg, but that's just because I played StarCraft long before I first got into 40K. I say long before. Like 4 or 5 years before. Wouldn't say that's long before. Not quite yet, anyway. Your buddy would always do that? The Crusher, yeah. It's the popular tournament list. Because it's really the only meta way to play Nids at tournaments. Because if you play Tyranids like Tyranids, where you have like a massive swarm of Termagants and Hormagaunts, and then you have like 1 or 2 major monsters, those really suck at tournaments. Like if you're someone who's like trying to actually win with a Nids list, you're really not. It's not that you don't have a chance. I mean, you have a chance with anything really if you're a good enough player, but you're fighting an uphill battle if you play Nids like actual Nids at a tournament. So you kind of got to play them more like you're playing a bunch of Godzillas, pretty much. If you want, that's why Crusher Stampede's so popular. You really can't win at tournaments without it, and with it you can fucking kick ass. It's kind of broken. I don't know if it'll remain the same for 10th. I'm sure they'll nerf it somehow, some way, somehow. Which I find strange because they've added new monsters. I don't know how they've added new and bigger monsters. I don't know how they'd nerf it. They're probably not going to nerf it initially because they want the Leviathan box set or similar sets to sell. And if if half the box's value, which is the whole second army, that being Tyranids, to the Space Marines, it kind of suck off the bat, then they're not going to sell them very well. People will just buy the Space Marines individually and then the core rulebook. So they're definitely going to let the Tyranids be really fucking awesome at the beginning of 10th, and then they're going to let them fade over time once a lot of people have bought Nid stuff. And I bought my Nid stuff a long time ago. It's just been in my pile of shame. I'm only getting to it now. Trouble is I can no longer play my Nids list. Hey, Kiro. Yeah. So, funny thing happened at my work today. Alright, what happened? What's the funny thing that happened to you? I'll roll up my sleeves a little bit here. Literally. Ah, shit. I did the thing you're never supposed to do with this camera, apparently. Touch the cord. Stab, stab, funny. Two guys came in, ordered some food, and proceeded to place a Warhammer at their table, and they had a whole audience, including me. Well, that's cool. Wait, where do you work? Cafe? A deli? Or do you work at like a fast food joint? Because I don't know anyone who would want to play Warhammer at like McDonald's. Like, those tables are not big enough, unless it's a really small game, like 500 at the biggest. Unless they like pulled two tables together or something, I don't know. It's the only way I can see them being able to do it, if it's a fast food place. Again, I'm assuming. I'm waiting for your answer. I assume you work at like a cafe or a deli though. Somewhere where like the tables are a little bit more sized. Work at a cafe. And they wanted an extra big table, so I directed them to the one we used when we were on my break. Oh, okay. Yeah, so that makes sense to me. Well, I'm glad they had some fun at a cafe. Playing some Warhammer. Well, what were they playing? Like for armies? Like Nids, Necrons, Space Marines? I nicked his wee little head. It's okay. That's what touch-ups are for. That's cool. It's always good to get some extra tips. Okay, Space Marines v Necrons. Oh, okay. Pretty 9th edition little mix up there. Maybe that was why. Maybe it was their first game. Space Marine guys won. No surprise there. And he had a pretty cool color palette on his Space Marines. Nice. What was it? Yellow, black. Oh, sorry, yellow and black, white and black. Red and yellow. I don't know why I keep throwing yellow in there. I don't know. Yeah, I guess because yellow is probably one of the harder colors to paint, like, predominantly and do it justice. Red, yellow, and black. It's a pretty neat combo. That's probably red, yellow, and black. That's probably Imperial Fists or Lamenters. One of those two. Or it could be custom. It could also be Angry Marines, but if it's one of the canon factions, yeah, that'd probably be the mix-up, I would assume. I'm glad they had fun. That's pretty cool. Yeah. So to kind of dig back into a conversation I had during the stream before I was rudely interrupted by the thunderstorm. So like Lamenters, that's cool. Yeah. Lamenters are one of the specific divisions of the Imperial Fist. I know one of them has like a red trim. Yeah, as I was saying in the previous stream before I was rudely interrupted by the thunderstorm. Yeah, I would not give my kids a cell phone before the age before they're like an adult. I mean, there's an argument to be had about giving a kid access to social media when they're a teenager, but even then, I think that's actually the worst time to give them access. It's already bad enough giving them access like when they're really young, but giving them access as teenagers, I don't know. Like they're the most emotionally vulnerable and hectic and crazy. So I don't know. I just think it's a bad time. But that was kind of like the thought I was trying to finish when the storm cut me off. So I just want to throw it in here. Lamenters are Blood Angel successors. They are indeed. They're the unluckiest bastards in the entire galaxy. Period. Like, there's no one more unlucky than the Lamenters. Pretty much, period. But yeah, more positive and less esoteric news. Yeah, my local hobby store, a more local one than the one I've been going to, has opened up for games again. Like for playing tournaments, but also playing casual 40k games. And they hold meetings and like group get-togethers on Tuesdays. So I'm hoping, and I get out of work early now on Tuesdays because I do prep cooking. I'm hoping to spend my Tuesday afternoons at the store and possibly getting to play a lot more 40k more often, which I know I would love. I will say this, I stepped in on the guys who were playing last time, just kind of curious to see like the group, and I'm not too sure, you know, I was really tired after work, so I was even more socially reserved than usual, not really sure what to say to the lads. So I was kind of awkwardly just kind of leering as they all moved about, not really saying much. And I hope I left a... well, actually, at most, I just hope I didn't leave a bad impression. Like, that's my fingers crossed thing. It's like, please may I not have just come off as like a weirdo just watching them play. I did announce myself. I'm like, hey, is it okay if I watch? And they're like, yeah. But I really didn't say anything else after that. So, I don't know. Hopefully on Tuesday when I get the opportunity to hang out with them and actually play some games, they'll get to know me, they'll get to know them, and it won't be, that awkwardness will seep away. By the way, make sure to leave a like on the stream and support, guys. I really appreciate it. Just wanted to throw that in there as well. I will say this, it's going to be a lot easier to be hobby positive if I can actually like play games more often and actually get to see these miniatures I put all this time and effort into actually on the tabletop, ripping apart Space Marines or beating up Grey Knights or you know, having custodies use me as a mop. I think it makes it easier to be more positive about the hobby when you get that play time in and that like escapism time in. More unlucky to be a Smurf. Unfortunately, they're the luckiest bastards in the goddamn galaxy. Damn plot armored fuckheads. Was it the Minotaurs or the Marines Malevolent that dabbed on them hard during the Badab War? I believe that would be the Minotaurs. Pretty sure that's the Minotaurs, because I don't even know if the Marines Malevolent were at the Badab War. Pretty sure that was Minotaurs. That could be something fun to record if you can. I'd watch it. Record what? Oh, playing at the store. I don't know about that. Probably wouldn't go over well. I tend not to like doing that kind of stuff, like going out in public and being like, "Hey, can I film around here?" I always feel like those chicks who record themselves going to the gym and shit and then bitch and moan when they're like watched as they're doing like booty shots and crap at the gym. I don't know, I always feel like that level of, you know, dickwad if I like go out and film in public. The one time I did it was for like a short, and even then I avoided filming them, just filming like what they said, intentionally avoiding showing anyone's faces and asking very publicly. You know. I'm very awkward about like recording in public because I just feel like it's weird. You know, like you know, recording in public and recording around people while they're doing stuff. A lot of them don't, you know, a lot of people who are like, you know, hobbyists or just playing or just going to like out and about don't really want a camera stuck in their face. Like, I don't think a lot of people enjoy that. Me, I sign up for it, like doing content and stuff. Like, I'm all for it. And inherently, I'd have to be if I'm making content. But, you know, filming other people randomly without their consent, or even with their consent, it's just awkward. So, I'd probably take pictures. Like, I always love taking pictures of, like, you know, the tournaments and stuff I go to and sharing those around. But filming it, I don't know. I can always ask. You know, I'm not going to bring filming equipment with me, though, the first time. Because that's definitely kind of a put-off for someone. I think I'd rather, you know, go just have fun and for my own sake and enjoy it with friends. Or potential new friends. And, you know, have that little fun, maybe take some pictures. And then I'll throw in, like, hey, by the way, you know, I have a YouTube channel. It'd be kind of cool if we recorded some games sometime, if you guys are okay with that. And, you know, at that point they can tell me, like, nah, man, really just here to play some 40K, have some fun, just kind of enjoy this little hobby time. Don't really feel like being plastered all over the internet for, like, my wins or my losses. Just here to have fun. And then I could be like, okay, I'll respect that, and I'll not bring any film equipment. I'll just, you know, bring my phone for the occasional picture, you know, because I like taking some pictures of, like, my games and stuff. But other than that, we'll leave it be other than that. I feel you on the one, get more into the hobby when you can get actually game time. Yeah, like I that's definitely a huge enhancement on like the actual hobby time and enjoyment. And I feel like that's the case for most people. You know, if you're just online like I am most of the time with my hobby engagement, and you're just like constantly throwing yourself into like Twitter debates about female Space Marines, or you're just like talking to other people about like the lore inconsistencies and things like that. A lot of that kind of builds upon itself, kind of like our earlier conversation with like you know, people making pseudo relationships with like people online and never really, you know, establishing those relationships more properly with like an in-person meetup. You know, over time, you know, the constant exposure to the negative side of the hobby, which is, to be fair, a lot of the outer edges of the hobby, which is, you know, the budgetary constraints about being able to like buy minis and stuff, the lore inconsistencies. When most of your interaction with the hobby is, you know, like online and through those avenues, I'd say no matter what side of it you're on, you're probably gonna have a very negative outlook on the hobby. But actually getting some game time in, actually just hanging out with a bunch, shooting the shit, buds and shooting the shit, maybe drinking a few sodas here and there, and just playing the game actually properly, and you know, complimenting each other's minis, being like, oh, giving some tips and tricks, and just actually engaging in the hobby as it's always meant to be engaged in. I think that makes for people to actually enjoy it a lot more. And it can really like, it can really make you fall in love with a hobby again, especially if you do it regularly. Whereas again, if you're just engaging with the hobby purely from this avenue of things, like internet-wise, you're probably not the most optimistic person for 40K. Especially with the recent news and everything with, especially with the recent news with them retiring Firstborn Marines. That's come with its own layer of blows. Did I get everything I wanted to? No, I was about to say, I feel like I skipped a step. It's because I did. Alright, and hit the hooves, and I think that's good with this guy. So maybe doing a second pass on head carapace there. Random, but have you tried the hard monsters? They are pretty decent. The hard monsters? What do you mean by hard monsters? Told me that if they arrived during my break, they told me I could join them in playing if I had the time, so that's fine. I assume that means they're going to let you play with one of their armies? That's pretty cool. I'm not gonna lie, I probably wouldn't be that generous myself. I'm super protective of my minis and what I play with. I put so much time into painting them and assembling them and everything. I'm not gonna lie, I can be a bit of a dick when it comes to like people like ogling them. I'm all for like people like, you know, taking a look at them, maybe taking a picture of them if you really, really like love my work, but you know, people like manhandling them, you know, immediately I get like my heckles up and I'm like, eh. Got the hooves. took the sugar and caffeine out of the drinks and put booze in. So it's just alcohol. So why is it even just... It's just like, oh, this is a hard monster. What makes it hard? Well, we're just giving you fucking vodka. It's like, well, yeah, at that point, anything's hard. Try Poland Springs hard. Take out the water, put in the vodka. Well, yeah, then it's hard now. No shit. It's ridiculous. Of course it's hard at that point. I'd be more impressed if like, of Monster Hard, if it was actually something like... I'd be more impressed with it if they somehow turned a sports drink into alcohol. Like, not like put alcohol in a can of Monster and say, call it good. No. Like, actually somehow figure out a process to turn the normal carbonated energy drink and just ferment it somehow. I don't know how you do that. I don't even know if you can. But if they were to somehow figure out how to do that, like actually turn it fermented somehow, but maintain its carbonation and maintain like the syrupy, basically soda that it already was before, and just turn it over into that. I don't know. That would be more impressive, and I think it would earn the name Monster Hard than just going, all right, you know our normal mixture of like Monster Energy? Well, now let's just add like half a bottle of vodka and call it good. Okay. So stupid. By the way, why, like, Mountain Dew's also doing that shit too. Like recently, they also like started doing I think it's even in a can. Like they did like hard Mountain Dew or something. It's like why? Like both brands aren't known to be alcohol. Are they trying to fill the void of like Bud Light since of the controversy that happened with them, or like what's the mentality? It's like, well, we got like 39 flavors of like Monster and like 50 flavors of Mountain Dew. Like, what haven't we done, guys? Like, yeah, we got to expand. We got to take over more markets. What aren't we touching? And then some drunk like aide is like, how about fucking booze? Like, this shit I'm drinking is like terrible. So, how about you guys come up with something better? That's it, Janine. That's it. Let's turn our drinks that are entirely associated with sports or their ability to help keep poor fucking like office workers who are stuck overnight for the 5th time in a row awake for another 12 hours of labor. Let's turn that reputation into a booze company where we're... I don't get it. I don't fucking get it. Like, it's strange to me. Like, just... It's expansion or like market expansion for the sake of market expansion. It's like... They just want everything to be attached to their brand names at this point. The sad thing is, like, a lot of like sci-fi from like the 90s, 80s, and early 2000s is starting to turn a little bit more more accurate in its predictions than I think a lot of us would have cared to admit. Like WALL-E. That fucking movie is turning into a prophetic nightmare. Because what's the premise of that movie? Like, the world goes to shit because basically a giant corporation called, what was it, By and Large? Yeah, it was By and Large, wasn't it? Well, anyway, a big fucking corporation basically did everything. It had its hands in every cookie jar and every market imaginable. Expanded. And then because it controlled everything, the corporation didn't really need to worry about like cleanliness or recycling or taking care of the planet. And then boom, bing bang boom, like due to corporate greed, the world fell apart. And instead of trying to fix it, they abandoned the whole fucking planet, ended up in space, and with all of their cares and woes in the world being taken care of by robots. And they all got super, super fat, barely walk around. All of their socialization is pseudo-socialization through screens. And because of it, like, basic human compassion is non-existent. Like there's that scene where that, like, guy gets knocked out of his, I don't even know, like, those floating chairs, right? He gets knocked out of it because he's so big and hasn't ever used his legs, pretty much, because he's been taken care of and catered to by the robots. Like, what do? Well, the robots come out to, like, basically just, you know, put a path around him while no other human seems to break away from their screens and to help him out. And yeah, like, the whole movie is actually kind of a horror movie once you're an adult and you kind of think about the wider implications of everything. It's kind of fucked up that I can no longer watch WALL-E and think of it as an innocent kid's cartoon. And now I just watch it and I go, wow, this is fucking accurate, and that's what's terrifying about it. I don't know. Our day and age is definitely a weird one. I mean, the movie Demolition Man is already pretty much what we're living, so. Yeah, Demolition Man. Man. It's kind of scary how accurate that shit is. And the main guy in that was like Cocteau, right? And the whole society was sanitized, and certain words couldn't be said. Sex was banned outright. Like, oh, Jesus. I don't know. We're living in a weird fucking timeline, that's for sure. You have been fined $5 for your foul language. Actually, no, it wasn't like a credit system. It's like you've been fined 1 credit for violating the verbal morality statute or something like that. Be well. Be fucked. You've been fined 1 credit for... I can quote that movie a little too much. We were all Oscar Mayer wieners all along. Actually, the sad thing is, one of the things that is actually, like, that movie is already accurate about so much, but it's starting to be accurate about specific things. Like, it's starting to be accurate, like, Demolition Man is starting to be accurate about at least, like, the successfulness of Taco Bell. I'm actually super fascinated to see if we do genuinely have, like, the franchise wars. Like, legitimate franchise wars between the fast food chains where there's, like, full-on, like, warfare. Because at this point, like, if you, like, I use, like, that part always sounded so extreme and cartoonish to me. Now, I'm like, shit, that could happen tomorrow. Like, if, like, the CEO of, like, McDonald's came out and, like, just declared war upon Taco Bell, like, literal war, like, with guns and shit, upon Taco Bell, upon Burger King, Arby's, Wendy's, shit, man, I feel like, yeah, I'm not surprised. We live in just we just live in that kind of weird times. We live in a very weird day and age. For better or for worse. The Pepsi Armada. Pepsi pulls up with like giant fucking Bismarck style like warships right on off the coast. Fires a volley of artillery fire at every Burger King, Wendy's, and Arby's and Taco Bell / KFC that dared place itself upon territory that was rightfully PepsiCo's. Till finally the Pepsi Armada Admiral has this self-introspective moment of, what have we done? All of these brands service our product. What have we done? And then like a big fade off the camera and shit. It is so sad I can see that. It is so sad that I can see that so clearly. Welcome to the modern age where that shit is kind of expected at this point. The Fanta Mafia. No, it'd be the Fanta Cartel, because, you know, Fanta is super popular in, like, India and Mexico. I don't know, it'd be the Fanta Cartel. Not the mafia. Not Italian enough. You definitely... I mean, I guess, like, depending on who you ask, mafia and, you know, cartel are interchangeable. I think they're pretty clearly different. So I'd say cartel. The Fanta Cartel. Remember, folks, 2 thin coats. These coats are thin as fuck, so fair enough. Done so far. Not done, but 3 of placing down the Corvus Black so far. The franchise wars. Actually, no. That would be a someone's gotta do that. Of course, you'd have to get like to make that tabletop game. You'd have to get permission from all of those brands. That or make the just most cartoonishly obvious like parodies of each of them, like Ron Donald's or Ron Donalds versus Mindy's instead of Wendy's. Like, even have like the logos be almost the same. Just just borderline. Actually, that would be a good negotiation tactic to bring to those brands, right? It's like, listen, McDonald's CEO and Wendy's CEO, Arby's, Taco Bell. I'm presenting to you not really an offer, but a chance for each of you to avoid embarrassment. Today, I am currently in the process of putting together a tabletop game inspired by each of your brands. Now, this can go one of two ways. One, you all agree to respectfully give me permission to use your iconography and name and trademark and copyright state in the game. It'll work as free advertisement for you. And, of course, people will get plenty of entertainment from the memes upon the internet. Or you can refute me, find that this game is hogwash and would sully your brand given it is a war game. I tell you this, that I don't need you. I can merely replicate you in a moment. You can attempt to sue me, but simply changing the name and slightly shifting your logos is all I need. Why? I didn't even touch the cord, you fuckwad. Damn camera. That Chinese knockoff name. That's what I'm talking about. Like it's just I just use your likeness and call it good. Tis up to you. There's no reason. I think I thinned down the paint a little too much. It's almost a wash at this point. The bolt action tournament, the Allies are winning in Europe. Wait, what? There's a bolt action tournament going on. Really? And again, this is kind of our end product that we're aiming for. If this guy blends in with the swarm, then I did a damn good job with this batch. You report your battles, and the scores are calculated by the averages. Okay. So when you say the Allies are winning in Europe, do you mean that, like, is that by the player's nationality, or is that by like the faction nationality that they're playing? I'm actually curious, like, what that one would be. Because I'm used to 40K, where, you know, if it's a tournament based on that, people usually just say. It's like oh, it's like the U.S. is winning against, you know, UK players, or it's, you know, Space Marines are kicking Necrons' butt, that kind of thing. Factions. Yeah, okay. Yeah, with my Conflict 47 army, I put up a poll, which is pretty much finalized at this point. I wanted to give it like 2 days. I think it's been 3 now. But it looks like USA won by a sliver. A lot of people seem to really want me to play Germany too, which is kind of funny. But it looks like the USA won by a hair. I'm gonna be picking myself up a starter set of that soon. I'm curious to. I don't know if I'll ever get the opportunity to play Conflict 47. Well, probably, you know, ever is a strong word. If I'll get to play it anytime soon. I doubt it. Because there's not. I don't know anybody nearby that plays, like, even Bolt Action, let alone Conflict 47, so. Probably have to, like, find somebody and meet up with them, like, out of state. As it was already pretty hard to find any Warhammer players around here. great, OBS is doing that thing again. Haven't played it yet, but I heard it's just like bolt action, but with new extra rules and units. Yeah, I already know that. Like, it's not really the complexity of the game. I'm not worried about. I'm actually quite looking forward to getting a chance to play it. It's more or less just, yeah, it's more or less just I don't know anybody who I can get the chance to play with nearby. That's not, that I'm kind of worried about. I don't know why all of a sudden I feel like fucking wicked tired. Jesus. I feel like I just got hit by a truck, and that truck's name was the Sleep Man. Or the Sandman, I guess. I guess it doesn't help that batch painting is pretty tedious. Maybe I should have saved a second stream attempt for tomorrow. I'm doing a movie night on my Discord server tomorrow, so oh well. Yeah, let's give it. I'm gonna give myself a second to wake up a little bit. That was weird. Stay awake. For the love of all that is good in creation, stay awake. Well, something kind of funny that happened at work, and for those who don't know, I'm a dishwasher and a prep cook at a restaurant. And a funny thing that kind of happened recently was while I was learning some knife work with the prep cooking for specific like chopped meats and veggies, the sous chef who was actually teaching me to do everything, he comes over to me and he says, "All right, so are you right-handed or left-handed?" I went, "Neither." He was so confused. He went, "What?" I went, I'm ambidextrous. I'm ambidextrous. I can write with my left and write with my right, and I can do everything I can do with my left. I can do with my right. Maybe not as good, but I can do everything. Sorry, my train of thought disappeared. So, lefty, I can even hold the pen in my right hand and all that. Wish I was extremely unleft-handed. Yeah, I'm both. Yeah, and I'm not as precise with my left, I find. But I am ambidextrous. Like I can do, I can do everything I can do with my right, I can do with my left. I don't do it as often with my left, so I'm a lot slower, but I'm both-handed, as I used to say as a kid. Are you right or left-handed? I'm both-handed. Doesn't that get weird? Not really. But yeah, his reaction when I said I'm ambidextrous, he did this almost cartoonish level, like he just throws his hands up and goes, "Well, then you'll be fine." I'm like, dude, show me the knife work. I'll just do it with my right so I can keep up with you because you're right-handed. I don't know. It was funny. You can shoot right-handed though? Oh, that's cool. I can dual wield like a motherfucker. Although you don't really need to be ambidextrous to dual wield pistols. But I digress. I did used to really screw with my teachers in grade school, though. Because they taught us to do everything with, like, our right hands, because almost all my teachers were right-handed. I never had a left-handed teacher, I don't think. And if I did, they didn't do anything with their left hand, and they did everything with their right, so they would have had to be ambidextrous, too. So, most of the things I learned had to do with my left. I had to teach myself to do with my left hand. Sorry, everything I did like with my right, I taught myself to do it left-handed. Which was natural, because again, ambidextrous, right-handed, left-handed, that all kind of comes to you as you go. The one thing I never really, like, mastered, though, was with all the techniques I learned how to do for, like, sketching and drawing, I did all that with my right, and all that was really ingrained in me with my right hand. So to this day, I still can't draw very well with my left hand. Now, I will switch off hands, like when I'm doing like diagram stuff, and I'm like, oh, I need to draw a circle. It's like, okay, I got the curves on this side, but I need to get the curves on like under here, so I'll use my left. You know, I will switch off to do that. But for like actual like sketch work, I just learned so much sketch work from watching my teachers. And they all did it with their right hand. So I learned how to do all that, like the motion work and everything with my right hand. I never had a left-handed art teacher. So I never learned like the repetition and the repetition work to do with my left hand. So, you know, logically you would think like, oh, we'll just reverse the process for your left. Well, it never really came that simple to me. So every time I've tried to draw with my left hand, I failed. So that's like the one thing I am like definitively right-handed on is artwork. Like I need like this hand is the only hand doing artwork for me. But for everything else, like I need to sign. Like let's say this hand's occupied with like I don't know, like I'm holding a baby or something. I can sign with my left hand. I can, you know, I can do all the complicated like arm work and hand work that I would do with my right. I can do with my left. I used to screw my teachers all the time because they'd be walking by while we're doing tests. And they'd be watching me like do everything with my pen and everything with my right. And then just to screw with them, I would switch hands on their way to like walking back as they're like watching us do tests and quizzes or do just classwork. And I could always catch the teachers that weren't actually paying attention and were just pretending to. Like they were acting like they were paying attention but weren't actually doing it. Because they would walk by and they wouldn't notice me having switched my hands. But the teachers who did pay attention, who weren't pretending to and like letting their minds go, the one that were genuinely paying attention to the kids and looking for cheaters and looking for anything out of the ordinary, they would catch that my hand shifted. Like they're like, wait, he was right-handed before, but he's writing left-handed. And I would always be able to look at him and go, I do it, I dare you. Ask me if I'm left-handed or ask me if I was switching hands. It was always so funny to watch them kind of like contemplate what to say and then kind of just psych themselves out. It's like, nah, he was writing with his left the whole time. Then they come back and I'm doing it with my right. I know. Like that. It's a very small way I was kind of a troll. Okay, so that Sandman attack earlier, That feeling of tiredness has not gone away, even though I was just rambling. So, yeah, I probably should have just put off continuing the painting process till tomorrow because I am getting hit by it. So, I'm going to call it there, guys, and go to bed before I pass out at my desk. And I don't know if I'll stream it tomorrow. At this point, I'm just kind of like 3 attempts to stream today. 1 completely failed. The first one got cut off by a storm. And now 3rd time, I'm falling asleep. So maybe I'll just finish them at my own time. I don't know. I don't get sleepy until my head hits the pillow. I envy that. But for me, I start falling asleep like standing up after a certain hour. Yeah, randomly in the middle of the day. Yeah. I don't know. You're doing better than me then. I'll catch you guys later. Thanks so much for watching. Make sure to leave a like, all that fun stuff. Subscribe. Bleh. And we only have 2 viewers, so. Oh well. Hope you guys had fun watching. Catch you guys later. Bye-bye.